What happened with your Ravens today? And we were just asking the question about the Pittsburgh Steelers on our last episode. Like, is it time to take them serious? Are they really dangerous? We'll ask you that question again today after seeing your team, didn't play a bad game, didn't play a good game. The Steelers are the Steelers. It's a division game. But what's your thoughts from that game as your Ravens lose 18-16, I believe, in Pittsburgh?
Um, just like I said on the show, one possession game is always going to come down to it. When it comes to Pittsburgh, you're not going to blow them out. You're going to have to make a play to beat them. Play it simple. Yeah, it's always going to be a one possession game with Pittsburgh. That's it. That's the law of the land. You can write it in pen. So I don't even fault the team for losing. But this is what I will say. I've been a Ravens fan since I was, I don't know, 14 years old, maybe 15, since about 2003 ish. And I've seen the team look a lot of different ways, different people, different quarterbacks. I don't know, a couple different coaches, but there's always something different. One thing that any iteration of this Ravens team cannot afford to have is bad field goal kicking. And some kind of a way, Justin Tucker has turned into possibly the best field goal kicker in history of the game to an actual now he's a liability because he's missed a lot of field goals. Now I'm a firm believer anything 55 plus, that's cool because that is extraordinary. That is an extraordinary gift to be able to kick that way. Even though we got greedy with it, we took it for granted. Justin Tucker, we just get inside the 50 and he'll boom into the house. But there's been so many this year that he's missed from 40 in the 30s. Heck, he missed an extra point, I think, last week. This Ravens team will not be able to survive in the playoffs with Justin Tucker kicking their way because they're not going to blow out Kansas City. They're not going to blow out Pittsburgh. They're not going to. I don't even think they blow out the Chargers because I mean the Chargers played pretty well tonight, and we saw how the game went with the Bengals just last week, a couple of weeks ago. Uh, they're going to need Justin Tucker. So I don't fault losing to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh can beat anybody on any given day, especially my Ravens. They bring out the best from my Ravens. But one of those kick goes in, we're having a different discussion. They don't even have to try to get 2 points in the end right there. Uh, so Justin Tucker has got to get back to being Justin Tucker, or the season is pretty much a wrap because it is Super Bowl almost for these guys because they've already gone to the AFC Championship. They've gone to the AFC Championship and they've gone to the AFC Championship. They are playing for the Super Bowl and they can't do it with a bad Justin Tucker. That's how I feel about it. But that's all I have to say.
Well, I will say that if the biggest concern you have about your team is your kicker, those are pretty good problems to have, generally speaking, right? That being said, Justin Tucker, I agree, has been arguably the best kicker we've ever seen for quite some time here. Really, almost since he hit the league, and so his kind of regression this year, which I've seen more than even I normally would, having him on my fantasy team also, has been surprising for sure. It's not something that although I guess he's had it, for half the season at this point, it's not something that I would bank on continuing to be an issue. As the Ravens get to the playoffs and kind of all of that, I would think that if you guys get to a point where you need a big kick from him, I would expect him to make those. Same way that, to be quite honest, we have hopefully his was just a little glitch in the system. But Jake Elliott had the same issues about a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Missed a couple that he normally otherwise makes. And so like I said, these guys that have been as great as they have for as long as those guys have, Justin Tucker for a little bit longer certainly. You expect them to kind of right the ship. As far as the Ravens and Steelers game in general today, it's hard to take a whole lot from it just because those divisional matchups, particularly in the AFC North, are always just so physical and so highly contested, regardless of what the records of the teams are. And then certainly have both of these teams, being really on top of their game. at this point in the season. You expected a close game. The Steelers winning this one now doesn't, guarantee to me that they're the better team or that they're the team that would win in a playoff situation. It means that they were the better team today. And they obviously have another matchup with the Ravens before the season ends, and then potentially they'll see each other for a third time in the playoffs. And each of those two games could have a different result. So, good win by the Steelers. Defense showed up, played a great game. Obviously kept Lamar, who has been the runaway MVP to this point, at bay. We'll see if they're able to do it again in a second and potentially third matchup.
I don't want to be long on it. I just want to say, Terrence was saying earlier when he was explaining why his Ravens lost, a lot of talk about Justin Tucker, which is true. He's been bad. This is not the first week he's been bad. That is true. And he missed 2 field goals at least. However, let's not forget there was a touchdown drive. Well, it wasn't a touchdown drive. I shouldn't say that. There was a possession that the Steelers had before the Ravens came back and, made this a game. The Steelers had the Ravens up 15-10. And had they at least gotten a field goal, they could have went up 18-10 earlier. Not when they went up 18-10, but before they went up 18-10. They had another opportunity before that, and Russell did a little bit too much, scrambling in the pocket, out of the pocket, and instead of just throwing that thing away, he threw an interception in the end zone. That could have been 18-10 or possibly 22-10, and I think that game would have probably been done for the Ravens had that happened. This was early in the fourth, but nonetheless, that's another 3 or 6 that's taken off the board. So I have to disagree with Terrence just a little bit when we put it all on Tucker and his leg. Yes, he was bad, and he should have gotten at least one of those kicks. But it would have took both of the kicks that he missed, which is 6 points, that would have made up for the 6 points that the Steelers, that Russell Wilson gave away by not scoring in that end zone. So it didn't come back to haunt them, though. The Steelers still got the win. But I think the Steelers kind of, they were in control. They were in the driver's seat for the most part of this game. The Steelers just have the Ravens' number. I mean, it really ain't a lot to debate on that. The Ravens don't beat the Steelers often. And shout out to Mike Tomlin, because once again, he looks so smart and savvy with everything that he's doing, like paying respect to Lamar Jackson immediately after beating Jaden Daniels, saying, we wouldn't dare to make comparisons. That's Mr. Jackson. Knowing he was going to beat Mr. Jackson as soon as he came into the stadium. Everybody, man, Russell Wilson, don't stick with Justin Fields. Knowing he's going to get wins as soon as he inserts Russell Wilson into the starting lineup. I mean, he is brilliant right now. If anybody is coach of the year, it should be him.
That's definitely a runaway if I've seen one.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, no doubt. All right, but again, the Steelers win, and this was a chance for the Ravens to take number 1 spot in the AFC North, but they failed to do that by